This is Jennifer with High Vibe Leaders. And so I love getting to know each and every one of our students, each and every one of our clients. And I wanted you to get a chance to know me, my story, my history, where I come from, because I hope that this can inspire you, motivate you, and encourage you to maintain a high vibration, because that is what life is all about. And I need you to know that if it's possible for me, it is definitely possible for you, my friend. And so I am a big city girl. I always have been. Born and raised in Orange County, California. I was raised in a town called Lake Forest. Not a town, but a city. And I can remember when I was in high school, I've always wanted to be that person that was a difference maker. I wanted to make a difference. And in high school, I got my fair share of trouble, my fair share of mess. And but I still wanted better for myself. I wanted to do something different. And I thought that the education system had a few flaws, and I wanted to be that teacher that made that difference. I wanted to be that high school teacher that I always wished I had as a high schooler. And so I can remember leaving home. We were leaving dinner one night, and we had just left the Sizzler. And we go to a stoplight. And at that stoplight, I tell my dad, I say, Dad, I figured out what I want to do for my career. I want to be a teacher. I want to be a high school teacher. And my dad says, well, sweetie, he goes, well, then you better marry someone rich, because teachers are broke. And I said, ooh, well, I don't want to be broke, and I didn't question him. I figured he knows best, and I didn't want to be broke, and I didn't certainly want to rely on somebody else's income. I wanted to make my own income. I wanted to have my own life. And so I said, oh, well, then I guess I'll just go work for corporate America. So I graduated high school, and I went and got a job as a receptionist, and I worked as a receptionist for a few small companies. And then I landed at this manufacturing company. And I had been there for a couple months now, and I had learned about this thing called the subconscious mind. And when you learn about something and you become obsessed and you want to learn everything that you can about it and you do all this research, that was me. So I became fascinated by the subconscious mind, right? And so I went and I learned everything about it. I set out to take all these classes and courses and trainings and all this stuff. And I just wanted to learn about anything and everything I could about the subconscious mind. And I'm like, I'm going to apply this all to my own life, because this is so fascinating. And so I did. And within 12 months of applying this to my own life, I was able to go from being a receptionist, about 9 months. I was able to be a receptionist to all of a sudden I'm the director of operations for a company of over 400 employees. And I couldn't believe it. I was so excited. I hit the big leagues, man. I hit the big leagues, baby. This is exactly what corporate America is about. My dad is right. And I was like, man, this is great. And then it dawned on me that I had hit the cap at my company. I couldn't go any higher, because the only person higher than me was the owner of the company. So my income was capped. My growth was capped. And that was it for me. And I was like, this can't be it. There's got to be more to life than just working 9 to 5 and going through the motions. And I didn't want that. So I was like, I'll just open up a business, right? How hard could it be? How hard could it be? There's businesses everywhere. I'll just open up a business. And all I got to do is open it up, and I'm going to be rich. It's going to solve all my financial woes. And the customers will come, right? You open the doors, the customers will come. And so I opened up my doors. I decided I'm going to start a financial consulting business. That was my background. And I was like, I'm just going to open up the doors. And I opened up the doors, and guess what? No one came. No one came. I wasn't making any money. And then I found out I was pregnant. And I was like, oh, well, I've got to start making money now, because, I've got this responsibility now growing inside of me, and I have to be a responsible mom, and it's my obligation as a mother to support my child. And I was about 3 months pregnant, and I had to make the tough decision that I was going to raise this child alone, and I was going to be a single mom. And so that was even more pressure, right? More pressure, because we know children are not cheap. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. So I started working 17 hours a day, 12 hours a day, 7 days a week in my business. And I was working all these hours, morning and night, into my business, in all facets of my business, doing everything on my own. And I was going nowhere. I was making no money. And when my daughter was about 3, she comes to me and she says, Mommy, I have a question for you. And I said, hold on, sweetheart. I said, Mommy's working. And she says, you're always working. And she storms off into her room. And when she said that, my heart went right into my stomach. And because it instantly brought me back to when I was a child. And that was my biggest moment. And that was my biggest memory as a child when it came to my dad. My dad was a computer programmer. He would work 9 to 5, come home and work from 7 to 11, and then wake up at 3 and do it all over again. And this was his life, and he was always working. And back then we had the dial-up internet, the AOL. That's what we had. So we would pick up the phone as his children, and we would pick up the phone and hang it back up just so it would disconnect him from work, and he'd be forced to hang out with us. And he would come downstairs, and all he would do was yell at us, but we got the attention we were looking for. And I swore that I would never be that parent. And when she said that to me, it just instantly brought me back it made me realize that I'm becoming the parent that I never wanted to be. And so I knew that I had to make a change. So I started working less hours so that I could spend more time with my daughter. But guess what? I wasn't making any more money. I wasn't making any money at all. I was destitute. My credit cards were maxed out. I couldn't pay my own bills. My mom was paying my rent for me. I had to go to take my daughter to food pantries so that we could have food on our table, so that we had food to eat. And if I couldn't make it to the food pantry at my local church, I would scrounge around the cupboards and throw things together to make a meal for us so that we could eat. That's how destitute my life had become. I felt like such a failure not only as a business owner, but a failure as a mother, as a single mother. I felt like I was letting not only myself down, but letting my daughter down. And I had to make a change. I had to do something. I was desperate. I had to make a change. I felt like such a failure. I was desperate. I felt devastated. I felt frustrated. I felt, overwhelmed. I just felt like I was going nowhere. What have I done the past 5 years of my life? The time had kept moving, but I hadn't kept moving, right? The time had just stood still in my life. My life had gone nowhere in 5 years. I was just spinning wheels like that car that just spins and rubbers out. And that's it. Like the engine had burnt out. I was done. I was ready to throw in the towel. And I called my mom one night, and my mom she is my ride or die. She's my biggest supporter. She's my number one fan. And, she's now my business partner. And she goes, sweetheart, she's like, don't give up. She's like, let's not give up. She's like, I'm going to this event next weekend. It's going to teach me how to create my own life. She goes, why don't you come with me? And I was like, that's what I need. I need to create my own life. Exactly. So I'm ready to go. I'll come with you. So that's what I did. I went with her to this event. And we went to lunch the last day of the event. We're at lunch and I'm on fire. When you go to these live events, they get you pumped up, and I was ready to rock it. I was like, man, this is it. I'm ready to make a change. I don't know what change I'm ready to make, but I'm ready to make a change. I'm ready to do whatever's necessary to turn my life around and to change my circumstances. I am ready. I'm not quite sure what there is left to do because I'm pretty sure I've done everything I could. I've tried to do all this on my own without any success, but I'm ready to do it again. I'm ready to do whatever I need. And my mom looks at me and she says, sweetheart, she says, I believe in you and I need you to believe in yourself. And she says, I want to hire you a coach. And I said, coaches are not cheap. Coaches are a heavy investment. And I was just like, oh my gosh, somebody's willing to believe in me enough. My mom believes in my dream enough that she's willing to invest $25,000 in me a coach. I couldn't believe it. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to do the work. I'm ready to do what's necessary. And so my mom hired me that coach and I went to work. I applied anything and everything that this coach said because let's face it, I tried doing it on my own. For the past 5 years, I tried everything I could to do it on my own and it wasn't working. I wasn't getting any results, let alone the results that I wanted. Right? I was very far. My dream was just that. It was a dream. It was not a dream that I even saw coming to fruition when I first started. And so I was like, I've got to go. And working with my coach helped me realize that I was the problem. I was the problem, right? Because a business is a business. There are all kinds of businesses out there. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. There are businesses out there that are just crushing it, that are killing it, that are making millions. So it isn't the business. It's me. And when I came to that realization, I was like, I've got to do some work. I've got to do some work. So I began to work on myself and my business. And when I began to work on myself and my business, the amazing thing happened. Everything started changing. Everything started changing. I got a sale and I was like, oh my God, I thought I was a millionaire. I thought I hit the big leagues. I got one sale and I was like, yes, my life is complete. I hit the big leagues and it was only one sale. But one sale led to many sales. And before you know it, fast forward working with my coach, I had grown this wildly successful business. I was now paying my own bills. I was now going to the grocery store and buying our groceries and our woos were over. We were able to put money in savings. We were able to go on vacations now every year. And I was able to buy a new car. I'm living my life and I'm just like, oh my gosh, money's no longer a problem. Before I was eating out of food pantries. I couldn't even fathom the idea of a vacation, let alone a dream vacation. But now my daughter was living the high life. She was freshly clothed all the time. And we were, dreaming vacationing. We were going on vacations all the time. And my life had completely taken a change. And I couldn't believe it. And I was like, oh my gosh, Now, fast forward now, I now own a wildly successful coaching business and I am living my purpose. I am able to start transforming lives and changing lives and doing what I felt all along was my calling to do. Is I want to create that change. I wanted people to know that if it was possible for me, it is definitely possible for you. Okay, I knew that, and I knew that I wanted to create that change, and I wanted to create a higher vibe in this world, and that I wanted, and it starts with one person at a time, and then the masses. And now I'm speaking on small and large stages. I'm speaking to groups of 20 and 200 and 2,000, and I'm speaking to several groups. I'm going into corporations. I'm training staff. People are listening to me. I couldn't believe it, and I was just like, oh my gosh, my wildest dreams are coming true. And my clients are getting those same exact results. It was amazing that I was now creating that ripple in the world to create that change. And I was so, so blessed and so honored that now I am living my mission, my vision, my legacy of creating change in this world and creating change in people's lives and in their businesses. And there's nothing more fulfilling than that, my friend. Nothing more fulfilling than that. And I was sitting at dinner the other night with my daughter, and she goes, Mommy, you remember how you wanted to be a teacher when you were growing up? I said, yeah, I do, sweetheart. And she says, you are a teacher. You're just a different kind of teacher. And at that moment, I got emotional and she was right, right? She was right. This little ball of sunshine was right. You know, my daughter, who's absolutely amazing and the most special woman in my life, and she is my savior. And I couldn't, she was right that I am not only just a teacher, except this time I'm a very highly paid teacher. Take that, Dad. Yes, I am a highly paid teacher. I'm a wildly successful teacher, and my parents could not be more proud. And my dad was like, hey, you proved me wrong. You were absolutely right. Right. And it just, I couldn't believe it. I'm now living my vision and I am now living out my dream. My dream is no longer a dream. It is coming to fruition. It has arrived. And that's what I want for you because I am now able to teach high achieving go-getters to vibrate high so that they can gain success, be a leader, and live the life of their dreams. And that is exactly what I want for you, my friend. So I'm so glad that you get to now hear my story and that you have been such an intricate part of my success and of living out my dream and my vision for my life, for the world. And I am so blessed for that. And I thank you.